The wedding invitation never came. I checked my mailbox every day for 3 weeks, hoping Emma had just forgotten to send it. But deep down, I knew the truth. My 25-year-old daughter didn't want me at her wedding. When I finally called her, she answered on the 4th ring. Her voice was cold, distant. "Mom, I already told you. This is a small ceremony. Family only." The words stung like a slap. I was her mother, but apparently not family enough. "Emma, please. I know we've had our differences, but this is your wedding day. I should be there." My voice cracked despite my efforts to stay strong. She sighed heavily. "You wouldn't understand the people there. It's Marcus's family, his business associates. Successful people. You'd feel out of place in your thrift store dresses." The line went quiet. I stared at my reflection in the hallway mirror, a 52-year-old woman in a simple cardigan, graying hair pulled back. She was right about one thing: I didn't look like much. But she had no idea who I really was. "I see," I whispered, my heart breaking into pieces. Emma had always been embarrassed by me. Even as a child, she'd ask me to drop her off a block from school so her friends wouldn't see my old car. During parent-teacher conferences, she'd beg me to dress nicer and try to look more professional. I worked 3 jobs to support us after her father left when she was 6. Cleaning offices at night, waitressing on weekends, and doing data entry during the day. Emma never saw the sacrifices, only the exhaustion and the worn-out clothes. By high school, she'd started lying about me to her friends. She told them I was a consultant instead of a janitor. She said our small apartment was temporary while our real house was being renovated. The lies grew bigger each year. When she got into college on a scholarship, I was so proud. But she barely called home. When she did, she'd complain about her embarrassing background and how hard it was to fit in with her wealthy classmates. Now she was marrying Marcus Whitfield, whose family owned half the commercial real estate in the city. She'd found her ticket to the life she always wanted. And I was just a reminder of where she came from. The painful irony was something she'd never know. What Emma didn't know was that I'd been quietly building a fortune for 20 years. It started small, investing my tips and overtime pay into stocks I researched at the library. I had a natural talent for spotting undervalued companies and understanding market trends. By the time she graduated high school, my portfolio was worth $2 million. By her college graduation, it had grown to $8 million. Today, it was approaching $15 million. I lived simply, reinvesting everything while maintaining my modest lifestyle. I kept working those 3 jobs because I wanted Emma to learn the value of hard work. I wanted her to appreciate what she had instead of taking it for granted. I planned to surprise her on her wedding day with a trust fund that would secure her future forever. But she never gave me the chance. She was too ashamed of me to even let me celebrate her happiness. I sat in my small kitchen that night, staring at the bank statements spread across the table. All those years of sacrifice, all those late nights researching investments, and my own daughter thought I was worthless. Maybe it was time she learned the truth about who her mother really was. The next morning, I called Marcus's office. His secretary was polite but confused when I introduced myself as Emma's mother. "Oh. Mrs. Chen. Emma has mentioned you. How can I help you today?" "I'd like to discuss a wedding gift for the happy couple," I said calmly. "Something substantial. Would Marcus have time to meet this week?" There was a pause. "Well, certainly. Mr. Whitfield always has time for family. Would Thursday at 2 o'clock work?" Thursday. 2 days before Emma's wedding. Perfect timing. I hung up and opened my laptop. My investment portfolio dashboard showed my current net worth, $14.8 million. I scrolled through my holdings: tech stocks, real estate investment trusts, emerging market funds. All carefully chosen, all performing beautifully. I'd built this empire while mopping floors and serving coffee. While Emma was busy being ashamed of me, I was quietly becoming wealthier than most people she admired. But money wasn't the point. The point was respect. The point was showing my daughter that she'd misjudged me completely. I closed the laptop and smiled. Thursday was going to be very interesting. Marcus Whitfield's office occupied the top floor of a glass tower downtown. The elevator opened to reveal a stunning reception area with marble floors and fresh orchids. His secretary, a polished woman in her 30s, greeted me warmly. "Mrs. Chen? Please, come in. Mr. Whitfield is waiting for you." Marcus stood when I entered his office. He was tall, handsome, and dressed in an expensive suit. Everything Emma had ever wanted in a man. He shook my hand with genuine warmth. "Mrs. Chen, it's wonderful to finally meet you. Emma speaks of you often." I almost laughed at the lie, but his sincerity seemed real. "Please, call me Susan. And thank you for taking the time to see me." We sat across from each other in leather chairs. Behind him, floor-to-ceiling windows offered a view of the entire city. This was Emma's new world, polished, powerful, prestigious. "Emma tells me you're planning something special for the wedding gift," he said, leaning forward with interest. I opened my briefcase and pulled out a folder. "Yes, I am. But first, I'd like to discuss something with you. Something about Emma that she may not have shared." His eyebrows raised slightly, but he nodded for me to continue. "Marcus, what has Emma told you about my financial situation?" I asked carefully. He shifted uncomfortably. "Well, she's mentioned that you work very hard. Multiple jobs. She's always spoke about how independent and strong you are." I could hear the diplomatic tone. He was trying to be kind about my poverty. Emma had clearly painted me as the struggling single mother who couldn't afford nice things. "I see. And you're comfortable with Emma's background? Her humble beginnings?" Marcus leaned forward earnestly. "Mrs. Chen, I love your daughter for who she is. Her background doesn't matter to me at all. In fact, I admire how hard she's worked to build herself up." His sincerity was touching. At least Emma had found a good man, even if she was lying to him about me. I opened the folder and slid a document across his desk. "This is why I wanted to meet with you, Marcus. I think there are some things about our family that Emma hasn't shared." He picked up the paper and his eyes widened. It was a summary of my investment portfolio, showing my current net worth of $14.8 million. "I don't understand," he whispered, staring at the numbers. "Neither does Emma." Marcus looked up from the document, his face a mixture of confusion and amazement. "Mrs. Chen. Susan, this says you're worth nearly $15 million. Is this real?" I nodded calmly. "Every penny. Built over 20 years through careful investing and reinvestment. Emma has no idea." "But why doesn't she know? Why do you still work those jobs?" I sighed, looking out at the city skyline. "Because I wanted her to understand the value of hard work. I wanted her to appreciate what she had instead of taking it for granted. I planned to tell her everything on her wedding day." Marcus was still staring at the portfolio summary. "She thinks you can barely afford rent. She's been worried about you for years. She even asked me if we could help you financially after the wedding." The irony was almost painful. My daughter pitied me while I sat on a fortune that dwarfed most people's dreams. "The thing is, Marcus, Emma didn't invite me to the wedding. She's ashamed of me. She thinks I'll embarrass her in front of your family and friends." His face fell. "Oh, Susan. I had no idea. I thought you were just busy with work that day." "No. She deliberately excluded me." Marcus set the papers down and rubbed his temples. This is incredible. And heartbreaking. Susan, you have to be at the wedding. You're her mother. She made it very clear I'm not welcome. She said I wouldn't understand the successful people there. That I'd feel out of place." He shook his head in disbelief. "She has no idea who you really are." "None whatsoever. And frankly, I'm tired of hiding it. I'm tired of being treated like I'm worthless by my own daughter. Marcus stood up and paced to the window. What do you want to do? How can I help? I smiled for the first time in days. I want to come to the wedding, Marcus. As your guest, if necessary. And I want to give Emma a wedding gift she'll never forget. He turned back to me, his eyes bright with understanding. What kind of gift? I reached into my briefcase and pulled out another document. A check for $2 million. Her wedding gift. Along with the trust fund I've been building for her since she was born. Marcus's jaw dropped. $2 million? For a wedding gift? It's just the beginning. I want my daughter to know exactly who her mother is. We spent the next hour planning. Marcus was genuinely excited about the surprise, but also worried about Emma's reaction. She's going to be shocked, he said. And probably embarrassed that she hid you from everyone. That's her problem to deal with, I replied firmly. I've spent 25 years putting her needs before my own. It's time she learned some truth. Marcus picked up his phone. I'm calling the wedding planner. We need to add you to the guest list immediately. Wait, I said, holding up my hand. I don't want Emma to know I'm coming. I want it to be a surprise. He paused, phone halfway to his ear. A surprise? At the wedding? Exactly. Let her think I'm still the poor, embarrassing mother she's ashamed of. Right up until the moment I prove her wrong. A slow smile spread across Marcus's face. You want to make an entrance. I want to make a statement. About judging people by appearances. About family loyalty. About respect. Marcus hung up the phone without calling. You know what? You're absolutely right. She needs to learn this lesson. But how do you want to do it? I opened my purse and pulled out a small jewelry box. Inside was a diamond necklace worth more than most people's cars. With style. There's something else, Marcus, I said, closing the jewelry box. I need you to invite someone special as my guest. Someone who will make Emma realize just how wrong she's been about me. He leaned forward curiously. Who did you have in mind? I smiled mysteriously. Have you heard of David Park? He owns Park Industries? Marcus's eyes widened. The tech billionaire? Of course I've heard of him. He's one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the country. Why? He's my business partner. We've been investing together for 15 years. He's also, well, let's just say we've grown very close over the years. Marcus nearly fell out of his chair. Business partner? You mean you're involved with David Park? David Park? I nodded. Emma has no idea he exists. She thinks I spend my evenings alone, watching TV in my little apartment. She doesn't know I attend board meetings and charity galas with one of the most powerful men in the city. This is unbelievable, Marcus whispered. You're full of surprises, aren't you? David has been asking me to marry him for 3 years. I've been waiting for the right moment to tell Emma about him. I think her wedding day might be perfect. That evening, I called David from my apartment. He answered on the first ring, his warm voice filling me with comfort. Susan, darling. How are you holding up? I'd told him about Emma's rejection a week ago. He'd been furious, offering to buy out Marcus's family business just to teach Emma a lesson. I'd talked him out of it, but his protective instincts were touching. I'm better now. Actually, I have a favor to ask. Anything. You know that. Are you free Saturday afternoon? I'd like you to attend a wedding with me. There was a pause. Emma's wedding? I thought she didn't invite you. She didn't. But her fiancé did. It's time Emma met the man in my life. David chuckled. Oh, this should be interesting. Should I wear my best suit? Definitely. And David? Bring the ring. Another pause, longer this time. Susan, are you saying what I think you're saying? I looked around my modest apartment, the worn furniture, the old appliances, the simple life I'd maintained while secretly building an empire. It was time for some changes. If you're still interested in marrying a cleaning lady, yes. His laughter was pure joy. I've never wanted anything more. The next 2 days passed in a blur of preparation. I went shopping for the first time in years, buying a dress that cost more than Emma's monthly rent. It was elegant, sophisticated, and absolutely stunning. The kind of dress a wealthy woman would wear to her daughter's wedding. I also visited my stylist. Yes, I had a stylist, though Emma would be shocked to learn that. My gray hair was professionally colored and styled. My nails were manicured. I looked like the successful woman I'd always been, instead of the struggling mother I'd pretended to be. David helped me choose the perfect jewelry to complement the dress. The diamond necklace I'd shown Marcus was just the beginning. By Saturday, I'd be wearing more money in jewelry than most people earned in a decade. Are you nervous? David asked as we reviewed the final details Friday night. Terrified, I admitted. She's going to hate me at first. She'll think I betrayed her by hiding this life. David took my hands in his. Susan, you gave her everything. You sacrificed your own comfort so she could have opportunities. If she can't see that, it's her loss. He was right, but that didn't make it hurt less. Emma was still my daughter, and I still wanted her love and respect. What if she never forgives me? Then she's not the woman you raised her to be. Saturday morning arrived with perfect weather. Emma's wedding was being held at the Grandview Country Club, the most exclusive venue in the city. I'd been to events there many times over the years, but always as David's mysterious companion, never as myself. I spent the morning getting ready, taking care with every detail. The dress fit perfectly. The jewelry sparkled in the morning light. My hair and makeup were flawless. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a confident, successful woman who belonged in any room she entered. David arrived at noon, looking devastatingly handsome in his tailored tuxedo. He carried a small velvet box in his pocket. The engagement ring he'd been waiting 3 years to give me. You look absolutely radiant, he said, kissing my cheek carefully to avoid disturbing my makeup. I feel like I'm going to throw up, I replied honestly. He laughed. That's just nerves. You're about to reclaim your relationship with your daughter. It's going to be beautiful. We drove to the country club in David's Bentley. As we pulled up to the valet stand, I saw several guests arriving. They were exactly the type of people Emma wanted to impress, wealthy, polished, connected. Ready? David asked, offering me his arm. I took a deep breath. Let's do this. The ceremony was taking place in the club's rose garden. As we walked through the lobby, I recognized several faces from the society pages. These were Emma's new people, the successful crowd she'd chosen over her own mother. Marcus met us at the entrance to the garden. He looked nervous but excited. Susan, you look absolutely stunning. David, it's an honor to meet you, sir. David shook his hand warmly. Congratulations on your wedding, son. You're getting a remarkable woman. I know I am. Though I think I'm about to understand her even better. The ceremony was about to begin. Guests were taking their seats on white wooden chairs arranged in perfect rows. At the front, an arch of white roses framed the altar where Marcus would soon wait for his bride. Where should we sit? I asked. Marcus smiled mischievously. Front row. Family section. I felt a flutter of panic. But Emma will see us before she walks down the aisle. Exactly. This is your moment, Susan. Take it. David squeezed my hand encouragingly. He's right. You belong in that front row. You're the mother of the bride. We walked down the aisle together, and I felt every eye in the garden following us. Whispers started immediately. Who was this elegant woman in the expensive dress? Who was the distinguished man with her? We took our seats just as the music began to play. The processional started with the bridesmaids, Emma's college friends in flowing lavender dresses. They glided down the aisle with practiced smiles, taking their places at the altar. Next came the maid of honor, Emma's best friend Sarah, who I'd met once during college move-in day. Marcus took his position under the rose arch, looking handsome and nervous. He caught my eye and gave me a small nod of encouragement. Then the wedding march began, and everyone stood. Emma appeared at the end of the aisle on the arm of her uncle, my brother Tom, who'd agreed to walk her down the aisle since her father was absent. She looked absolutely breathtaking in her white gown, her dark hair swept up in an elegant chignon, her face glowing with happiness. For a moment, all my hurt feelings melted away. This was my baby girl, my beautiful daughter, on the most important day of her life. She began walking toward the altar, her eyes fixed on Marcus with pure love. The guests smiled and whispered approval. Everything was perfect. Then her gaze swept the front row, and she saw me. Her steps faltered. Her smile wavered. Her eyes widened in shock and confusion. She looked from me to David, then back to me, trying to process what she was seeing. I gave her a small wave and my brightest smile. Emma stood frozen halfway down the aisle, staring at me in complete shock. The wedding march continued playing, but she'd stopped walking entirely. Guests began to murmur and turn to see what was happening. Uncle Tom, confused by her sudden stop, whispered something in her ear. She shook her head slightly, still staring at me. I could see the wheels turning in her mind. Who was the elegant woman in the expensive dress? Who was the distinguished man beside her? And why did the woman look exactly like her mother? Marcus, seeing the situation, stepped forward and called out gently, "Emma? Everything okay, sweetheart?" His voice seemed to snap her out of her trance. She blinked several times, then looked around at the 100 guests watching her. The show had to go on. She resumed walking, but I could see the questions burning in her eyes. With each step closer to the altar, she stared more intently at me. By the time she reached the front, I could practically see her mind racing. The officiant began the ceremony, but Emma kept glancing over at David and me. She was trying to understand what she was seeing, but it didn't fit with her image of her poor, struggling mother. During the exchange of vows, she stumbled slightly over her words, distracted by our presence. The ceremony concluded with Marcus and Emma's first kiss as husband and wife. The guests erupted in applause and cheers. It was a beautiful moment, despite Emma's obvious distraction. As the newlyweds walked back down the aisle together, Emma's eyes found mine again. This time, I saw recognition dawning on her face. She knew it was me, but she couldn't understand how or why I looked so different. David and I followed the crowd to the cocktail reception on the club's terrace. Servers circulated with champagne and elegant appetizers. The conversation buzzed with excitement about the beautiful ceremony and the happy couple. Several people approached David, recognizing him from business magazines and social events. He handled the attention gracefully, introducing me simply as Susan, the mother of the bride. Each introduction drew surprised looks. These people had heard of David Park, but they'd never seen him with a steady companion. And none of them had expected the mother of the bride to be so polished and sophisticated. I had no idea Emma came from such distinguished family, one woman whispered to her husband. If only she knew the half of it. Emma and Marcus were making their rounds, greeting guests and accepting congratulations. I could see them getting closer to our section of the terrace. "Ready for this?" David asked quietly. "As ready as I'll ever be." Emma and Marcus finally reached us. Emma looked absolutely stunned, her professional composure completely shattered. She stared at me as if I were a ghost. "Mom," she whispered. "What, how, you look." "Hello, darling," I said calmly, stepping forward to embrace her. "You look absolutely beautiful." The ceremony was perfect. She hugged me stiffly, still in shock. When we separated, she looked from me to David with obvious confusion. "Emma," I said, taking David's arm, "I'd like you to meet David Park." "David, this is my daughter Emma." David stepped forward with his warmest smile, extending his hand. Emma, it's such a pleasure to finally meet you. Your mother talks about you constantly. Emma shook his hand automatically, but I could see her mind struggling to process the introduction. David Park? The billionaire tech mogul? What was he doing with her mother? Mr. Park, she managed weakly. I thank you for coming. Marcus jumped in, trying to ease the tension. David, thank you so much for joining us today. It means the world to have you here. Wouldn't miss it, David replied warmly. Susan's been looking forward to this day for months. Emma's eyes snapped back to me. Susan, she repeated. He calls you Susan? I smiled. Well, that is my name, dear. Emma pulled me aside, away from the other guests. Her wedding smile had completely disappeared, replaced by confusion and what looked like panic. Mom, what is going on? Who is that man? Why are you dressed like that? She gestured at my elegant outfit. Like what, Emma? Like you have money. Like you belong here. And David Park? The David Park is calling you Susan and acting like he knows you. I could see her struggling to reconcile the mother she thought she knew with the woman standing before her. Emma, there are some things about me that you don't know. Things I've been meaning to tell you for a long time. What things? Mom, you work 3 jobs. You live in that tiny apartment. You shop at thrift stores. This dress probably costs more than you make in 6 months. I reached into my purse and pulled out a small envelope. Actually, sweetheart, I wanted to give you your wedding gift. She took the envelope with shaking hands. Mom, you didn't need to get me anything. I know money is tight for you. Just open it, dear. She tore open the envelope and pulled out the check. Her face went completely white as she read the amount, $2 million. This is fake, right? Some kind of joke? It's very real, Emma. Consider it a small down payment on the trust fund I've been building for you since you were born. Emma stared at the check, her hands trembling. $2 million? Mom, this is impossible. Where would you get $2 million? From my investment portfolio, dear. The one that's currently worth about $15 million. She nearly dropped the check. 15 million? Mom, what are you talking about? You're a cleaning lady. I am a cleaning lady. I'm also one of the most successful private investors in the city. I've been building this fortune for 20 years, Emma. Every tip, every overtime dollar, every spare penny went into carefully researched investments. Emma looked around desperately, as if seeking an escape from this surreal conversation. But you never said anything. You never acted like I had money? No, I didn't. I wanted you to learn the value of hard work. I wanted you to appreciate what you had instead of taking it for granted. But I thought you needed help. I was going to ask Marcus if we could pay your rent. The irony of that statement wasn't lost on me. Emma, I own my apartment building. I bought it 3 years ago. She sank into a nearby chair, still clutching the check. I don't understand any of this. There's more, sweetheart. David isn't just a friend. He's been my business partner for 15 years. We've been together romantically for 3 years. Emma looked up at me with wide, terrified eyes. Together? You mean? He's asked me to marry him multiple times. I've been waiting for the right moment to tell you about him. Emma was quiet for a long moment, staring at the check in her hands. When she finally looked up, her eyes were filled with tears. Mom, I didn't invite you to my wedding. I know. I was ashamed of you. I thought you'd embarrass me in front of Marcus's family and friends. I know that too. She started crying harder. I told everyone you couldn't afford to come. I said you had to work. I've been lying about you for years, making excuses for why you weren't around. I sat down beside her and took her hand. Emma, why were you so ashamed of me? Because you were poor. Because you worked menial jobs. Because you weren't successful like Marcus's mother or my friend's parents. She was sobbing now. I wanted to fit in with these people, and I thought you'd make me look bad. And now? She looked around at the elegant reception, at the wealthy guests, at David chatting comfortably with Marcus's father. Now I realize I don't know you at all. You're more successful than any of these people, and I treated you like garbage. I squeezed her hand. Emma, I never wanted you to value me for my money. I wanted you to love me because I'm your mother. Because I sacrificed everything to give you opportunities. But I was horrible to you. I was so focused on appearances that I couldn't see what was right in front of me. David approached us carefully, seeing Emma's tears. Is everything all right here? Emma looked up at him with red, puffy eyes. Mr. Park, I owe you an apology. I had no idea you and my mother were close. Please, call me David. And you don't owe me anything, Emma. Your mother loves you very much. She talks about you all the time. She does? I nodded. Every day. Every success, every milestone, every moment of your life. You're the most important thing in my world, Emma. David reached into his pocket and pulled out the small velvet box. Actually, Emma, there's something else we wanted to share with you today. Emma's eyes widened as he dropped to one knee in front of me. Several nearby guests noticed and started gathering around. Susan Chen, you've been the love of my life for 3 years. You're brilliant, kind, generous, and beautiful. Will you marry me? I looked down at this wonderful man who'd been patiently waiting for me to be ready for this moment. Then I looked at Emma, whose mouth was hanging open in shock. Yes, I said clearly, loud enough for everyone to hear. Yes, I'll marry you. The crowd erupted in applause as David slipped the ring onto my finger. It was a stunning diamond that caught the afternoon light beautifully. Emma stared at the ring, then at David, then at me. You're engaged? At my wedding? I laughed. I'm sorry, dear. The timing is rather dramatic, isn't it? The engagement announcement sent ripples through the reception. Guests who'd been whispering about the mysterious mother of the bride now realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. David Park, one of the city's most eligible bachelors, had just proposed to the woman they'd all underestimated. Marcus appeared at Emma's side, beaming with excitement. Congratulations, Susan. This is incredible news. Emma was still processing everything. Marcus, did you know about this? About any of this? Your mom told me about her portfolio when we met on Thursday. But I had no idea about the engagement. Thursday? You met with my mother on Thursday? Marcus nodded. She wanted to discuss a wedding gift for us. I have to say, Emma, your mother is remarkable. Emma looked at the check still clutched in her hand. She certainly is. And I've been a terrible daughter. I put my arm around her. You haven't been terrible, sweetheart. You've been young and focused on fitting in. I understand that. But I excluded you from my own wedding. I was ashamed of the woman who gave me everything. David smiled gently. Emma, your mother never stopped believing in you. Even when you hurt her, she kept building that trust fund for you. She kept hoping you'd see past appearances to the love underneath. Emma turned to me with fresh tears. Mom, can you ever forgive me? There's nothing to forgive, dear. You're my daughter. I love you unconditionally. As the reception continued, Emma stayed close to my side. She introduced David and me to every guest, her pride evident in her voice. This is my mother, Susan Chen, and her fiancé, David Park. The reactions were priceless. People who'd written me off as the struggling mother of the bride suddenly wanted to know about my investment strategies and philanthropic interests. The same woman who'd whispered about Emma's humble background was now asking for my financial advisor's contact information. Emma noticed the change in people's attitudes. It's amazing how differently they treat you when they know you have money, she said quietly. That's why I never flaunt it, dear. I prefer to be valued for who I am, not what I have. I'm so sorry I judged you the same way they did. I was so worried about appearances that I couldn't see your true worth. Marcus joined our conversation. Emma, your mother has taught me something important today. Success isn't about how much money you display. It's about how you use your resources to help others. I smiled at my new son-in-law. Speaking of which, Emma, there's one more thing you should know. That $2 million check isn't just for you. It's seed money for a foundation I want you to help me run. Emma's eyes widened. A foundation? For educational scholarships. I want to help young people who come from backgrounds like ours get opportunities they might not otherwise have. David nodded approvingly. Your mother has been talking about this for years. She wants to make a real difference in people's lives. As the sun set over the country club, Emma and I stood together on the terrace, watching the last of the wedding guests enjoying themselves. She was still wearing her white gown, but she'd kicked off her heels and was finally relaxed. Mom, I have so many questions. How did you learn to invest? When did you meet David? Why did you keep working those 3 jobs? I smiled, putting my arm around her. We have plenty of time for all those stories, dear. David and I want you and Marcus to come stay with us next weekend. We have a lot of catching up to do. Stay with you? Where do you live? David's estate in the hills. It's quite beautiful. I think you'll like it. Emma shook her head in amazement. I can't believe I thought you lived in that tiny apartment. I do live there sometimes. It keeps me grounded. But I also have other homes now. David approached us, looking handsome in the evening light. Are you two ready to call it a night? It's been quite a day. Emma hugged him warmly. David, thank you for taking care of my mother. I'm sorry I didn't know about you sooner. That's all right, Emma. I'm just glad we finally met. I've been looking forward to having a daughter. As we prepared to leave, Emma pulled me aside one last time. Mom, I promise I'll never judge anyone by appearances again. You've taught me the most important lesson of my life today. What's that, dear? That true wealth isn't what you wear or where you live. It's who you love and how you treat people. I kissed her cheek, my heart full of joy. Now you're ready to help me change the world.